button and the votes follow.
And we are the only government that I can find in the world that's been prepared to come down hard on outlaw motorcycle gangs with a series of legislative measures.
But it's fair to ask just how have the existing powers been used in South Australia to date? In 2004, the Rann government gave police the power to seek the demolition of the so-called bikie fortresses, a legacy of inter-club conflict in the 1980s and 90s. Despite this power, unique among Western democracies, not a single fortress has been breached so far. Only one application has yet been lodged, against a private residence owned by a member of the Hells Angels.
If you believe the bikies, then you believe that they run knitting circles inside their fortified premises. I don't believe that, and neither do the public.
I have no idea what goes through his mind. I don't know. You know, they were talking about the fortification laws, so here's a key to the clubhouse, come anytime you want. It's not fortified anymore. We can't do more than give you a key to the front door.
But are these clubs primarily a vehicle for crime? Over Christmas, Avatar conducted raids on a number of outlaw premises, but no charges were laid, despite the frequent assertion the clubhouses serve as headquarters for crime.
There is not a shard of evidence to support that.
Professor Arthur Vino has studied the outlaw bike clubs for 20 years. It's hard work. Academic sources are non-existent, and the bikies rarely talk. But there's no support for the idea of a growing bikie menace.
Criminal activity in the clubs is normally minor compared to what is going on in, say, a designated crime organization such as the Russian mafia, such as the Lebanese mafia, etc., etc. It goes on and on.
Furniture was upturned and shots fired at the Music Awards on Monday night after up to 7 men stormed the building in front of hundreds of shocked guests.
There have been outbreaks of open warfare amongst bikies. Shots were fired at last year's Adelaide Dance Music Awards as Hells Angels and Rebels clashed. But according to Melvin Mansell, the editor of the Adelaide Advertiser newspaper, major crime involving the clubs is a rarity in South Australian courts.
And governments and police tell you that bikie groups are very heavily involved in organised crime, and I think in particularly amphetamines and other drugs, probably particularly marijuana. Conversely, what you are seeing is that there doesn't appear to be any empirical evidence through the courts, for example, or with successful prosecutions, that this is indeed the case.
The God Squad are the 1%ers of the Christian world. They marry the bikers, christen their children and bury the dead. President Dr. John Smith says the pursuit of outlaw bike clubs is purely cosmetic. The real threats to the social fabric lie elsewhere.
You know, if you want to really know where the power that corrupts this society is, start looking for some pedophile judges. Start looking for some corrupt pollies. I'm not saying there aren't some people that misbehave in the bike scene, but they're in every part of society, including, sadly, in the priesthood, doing it with little boys.
So if, as the clubs argue, they're not criminal gangs, then just what is an outlaw in 2006? For most of their history, the Finks have been loud, ugly and drunk, but violence has usually been contained. Here, in this artillery game from the 1970s, they posed a greater risk to each other than the public.
Get all three of them going together. Now.
Number one's away. Two's away, three's away. Three's away.
Unlike most outlaw clubs, the Finks have a loose structure based on the equality of members.
We just have a treasurer and a sergeant of arms. Each man, he can do whatever he wants. If he wants to work or if he wants to do some other living, it's up to him. He's making his own destiny. The sergeant of arms in our club is to keep law and order and peace amongst ourselves. We don't have a president telling us what to do.
The most multicultural of clubs, nearly every race is represented in the Finks. Muslims mix with Christians, tribalists and the utterly godless. All are welcome if they pass muster as nominees.
It takes time to know who people are. 12 months of watching who you got with you. If he's an idiot, he's just got to go. You know, we don't want someone out there causing dramas every week. It's too hard. But the majority of the blokes are, you know, working blokes, family members. It's not all thuggery.
Finks from all over Australia are today converging on Mildura in Western Victoria for the massed run back into Adelaide. They say a national run is no crime convention, but a rare chance to celebrate the unity of the club. This is an optional run, and some interstaters have stayed home, unwilling to wear the police attention they will attract in South Australia.
Why would you want to come into a town where you're going to be defected and harassed? Really, they're not looking forward to it. So, you can't blame them really, can you?
Half a dozen interstaters have already received defect notices en route for breaching noise limits. The yellow defect sticker, or canary, is the quickest way to break up a run. Canaried bikers have 72 hours to get their machines off the road.
Riding's just getting too hard. It's just getting, you know, it's not like it used to be where you just cruise in and cruise out. So it's getting to the stage where everyone's going to start flying, I think. Then they'll get up at the airport anyway and annoy you there. So you can't win. We can't win.
But this morning the Finks have slipped the dragnet and are cruising eastwards through farmlands and small towns. The route has been a well-kept secret. There's been no chatter over mobile phones or in the clubhouse, avoiding avatars' electronic surveillance. Eventually, local police pick up the scent and the unmarked avatar cars dispatched from Adelaide join the parade.
Just trying to be friendly with us, trying to find out where we're going, what our destination is. Just, you know, grabbing the number plates, finding out who's leaving town, who's coming back to town. Just procedure.
Filming you all the time and this sort of
business?
Yeah,
that's part of it, being filmed,
They're wusses, they're bloody, you know. Geez, I wish the old blokes would come back and just beat me, for God's sake, than this bloody shit they're doing nowadays.
You reckon a beating?
Wasting taxpayers' money. Old sergeant could have done. What old sergeant could have done all this? On a push bike.
In the mid-1970s, when bikie numbers were more than double today's count, policing was a local affair. Common sense was more important than a show of strength.
Bad news. Don't be drinking out here in the pubs, if you will. My good fellas, boys. I know. All boys, you know, this you don't make work for me, I don't make it for you. That's all we want, isn't it?
But with police and politicians cracking down on bikies, their days seem to be numbered. As society's tolerance narrows, these self-styled outcasts represent the sum of all fears.
Basic human rights are being traded off against security of an extreme sort for a now traumatised and frightened public. And it's an easy break for those that are extreme right-wingers, for those that are almost neo-fascist in their attitude towards society. There are a whole bunch of people for whom this is a great day.
After the break, we'll look at the mysterious disappearance of outspoken bikie Steve Horrible Williams and meet the man who Hunter S. Thompson immortalised in his book on the Hells Angels in part 2 of our cover story.